love could not keep the captain and Tennille together, forcing Toni Tennille to make the toughest decision of her life. Find out how what she did has given her a brand new start. Then,
I'm here, I'm cool, I'm swimming, and I'm not really looking back on anything like that too much.
He's not looking back, but he is most definitely moving forward and standing tall as a surviving and thriving role model for us all.
and a first-hand account of D-Day, one of the most important battles ever in the fight for freedom, why he believes it's his duty to keep telling his story, right now on Growing Bolder.
The moral of the story is really follow your heart.
Live your life to the fullest. Don't let anyone tell you that you can't do it.
So get out there, take some chances.
Find something you love and make it your lifestyle.
Make no mistake about it, it's a revolution.
We'll visit any campus in America and you'll see, rushing to class, there's some gray hair out there. People of all ages are going back to school because they know it's never too late to do what they want. I'm Bill Schaefer.
And I'm Mark Middleton. Lifelong learning is one of the pillars in a growing Boulder lifestyle. Curiosity has no age limit. In fact, the quest for knowledge can help make the rest of your life the best of your life.
And if you need a role model, look no further than the lady they call Miss Vi.
She's the most unusual student on campus. She holds hands with her teachers and sings to the safety staff.
Well, it's a good day for singing a song, and it's a good day for rolling along.
76-year-old Vivian Carrington is about to graduate from Rollins College Hamilton Holt School with a degree in communications, becoming one of the oldest Rollins graduates ever.
Whatever comes to my mind, I put my mind to do, I do it.
Miss Vi, as she's known on campus, spent 30 years volunteering at a local hospital and 6 years getting her Doctor of Ministry degree. But when she applied for a job as a hospital chaplain, she got bad news.
And she said, I am so sorry to tell you this, but you don't qualify. You did not receive a degree at accredited school. So I'm sorry.
So at age 70, she enrolled at Rollins College, one of America's oldest private institutions.
If you don't give up and you keep pushing and keep going, keep persevering, you will get there.
When she was diagnosed with a potentially deadly case of the autoimmune disease lupus, it looked like her dream would be shattered again.
I even had the doctor to tell me, I'm sorry, I can't do anything for you. I could have given up. I could have given up then and go, oh, you tell me I'm gonna die, you know, go into my little act or whatever. But I stayed calm and I said, you're not God and you don't have the last say over my life.
Miss Vi's health struggles were well known on campus, but she refused to play the pity card.
I wanted to display love, kindness, and strength. No pity. When I used to come to school with the oxygen, some of the kids would be crying, oh, Miss Vi, let me carry your book. I said, go on about your business. I know what time I have to be to class. Go away. Anyone determined to set goals and have dreams and aspirations, you can't be timid and sensitive. You gotta have some backbone. You have to be strong.
It's just inspirational, and the connection that I see between them and her, especially in team initiatives and whatnot, I mean, it truly is a community of learners, and she's right smack in the middle of it.
Miss Vi has always been a trendsetter, even as a young girl.
That I was the first African-American female who was hired as a lifeguard for the city of Orlando. As a lifeguard. Isn't that incredible? The first one.
Her competitive spirit, her belief in herself, and her passion for life touch everyone she comes in contact with.
There's nobody like my mom.
I told her that when God made her, He broke the mold because she can't be duplicated. I think that she is like a light. When she comes into a room, she just brightens everybody's spirit.
Most of all, she's hope and inspiration to me. She shows how nothing is unreachable, how you can't put obstacles in front of you.
Of course, anyone who graduates from college at age 76 is not just a student, but also a teacher, and Miss Vi is ready, willing, and able to drop a little knowledge on anyone who asks.
Just be who you are and know that you have a purpose in life, and have dreams, have aspirations and goals. If you don't, I think people just die. And you have to think big. You have to think that, I can do this, I can conquer this.
We say to each other all the time, the older you get, the younger you look, the better you feel, and the richer you become.
Now that would make a pretty good t-shirt. Lifelong learning doesn't just take place in a classroom, of course. We're all enrolled in the school of life, although some of us are sleeping in class. But it is true that the fastest growing demographic on all college campuses across the country are students over 50, with many in their 70s, 80s, and beyond. Kay Mullally took decades to get her diploma, taking one class at a time while juggling family and other responsibilities. As a child, she'd been told that college wasn't for women, but even as the times changed, she was determined to prove wrong those who had discouraged her years ago, until her dream finally became her reality.
Eric Wilson was 40 years old when he enrolled in medical school, something he never dreamed possible when he dropped out of college the first time around. After going from job to job, he was lost in life. But when he enlisted in the Army and found himself in Iraq, he says he also found perspective. He realized we only get one chance at life, and he became determined to become a doctor, to do something with his life to help others. Apparently, a lot of people feel that way, and that's why organizations like the Learning Institute for Elders, a program at the University of Central Florida, help teach and inspire those dedicated to staying active and engaged even late in life. At one of their meetings, they invited Mark to share some growing boulder inspiration, and let me tell you, his message was enthusiastically received, to say the least, by some very impressive people. And Mark, we see it happen all the time because you're not out there spreading false optimism. Your message is one of the few fighting against a stereotype that needs to be corrected. And people really latch right on when you tell them age is not a disease, it's an opportunity.
Yeah, we all want to know that because we have all literally been brainwashed by our culture to believe that aging is defined by loss and limitation, and there certainly is a lot of that. But it's also filled with amazing opportunity for growth, for passion, purpose, and significance. So, yeah, we're not denying the realities of aging. We are revealing and celebrating the opportunities.
Well, if you've ever stayed in a bad relationship because you thought you could fix the other person, then you'll understand what the last 40 years have been like for Toni Tennille, from The Captain and Tennille. She opened up to Growing Bolder to explain how she almost learned too late that sometimes the most difficult decisions in life can turn out to be the ones that truly set you free. It was 1975 when this song hit #1. The Captain and Tennille were a pop sensation, something Toni never really expected.
I dropped out of the womb singing, I can tell you that, me and all 3 of my sisters, but I never thought I'd ever be famous because, I was in Montgomery, Alabama, and, not much happens there.
And there was something else she felt she was always missing.
I remember a prospective manager once saying to me, "You have to have the rage to succeed." And I thought, well, I don't have that. I really don't.
Her passion was in making music, the rest, not so much.
I like the show, not the business. The business part absolutely stinks.
It's one of the reasons she partnered with the Captain, Daryl Dragon, and why he was so interested in her.
She's a good singer, she writes really good songs, and she can talk to the audience, and I can just be back here and do what I do.
It seemed like the perfect combination, but it wasn't.
He's a very negative person, and I certainly understand why he's that way. I thought I could save him, fix him. I couldn't.
The captain seldom showed emotion, almost never showed affection. As a result, she believes, of growing up with an overbearing father and a clinically depressed mother. Daryl, she says, was incapable of giving her his heart.
I missed out on, the kind of love where two people walk along and they hold hands, or, they sit and watch TV together and eat popcorn. He was never that kind of a guy, ever,
She did what she could to hold it together. Years turned into decades, but the negativity took its toll.
He's a conspiracy theorist. He listens to late night radio, and the first thing in the morning he would always tell me what he'd heard about this, and the government's going to take our electricity away and all this stuff. And I go, please, let's don't start our days that way. Let's start our days with, isn't it a beautiful day?
Little by little, Toni could feel her own outlook beginning to dim.
Okay, now what? Do I want to live in this negativity? With it's dragging me down with it.
At the age of 75, she decided she'd had enough.
To save myself for the last 15 or 20 years that I have of really good health, I wanted to have happiness and joy, and I couldn't with Daryl.
She filed for divorce, moved clear across the country, and an interesting thing began to happen. Toni was back in the sunlight. She began to feel things she hadn't in decades with Daryl.
I never touched my piano once. I never wrote another thing while I was there. I couldn't figure out where I was or what I was going to do. But I will tell you that right now, I'm starting to feel some things coming up. I mean, they're bubbling up now that I've got a life that I'm happy with, and I'm starting to figure where I am. I'm not sure what form it's going to take yet, but I'm feeling it, so I know it's coming.
But what about Daryl? How's he dealing with the split?
I don't know. I'd hate to think that he's in pain. I've always thought that he didn't feel a lot. He didn't have a lot of emotions.
You think it's inside, though?
I do. I still call Daryl, every week or 10 days, and we chat, or he calls me. I always say to him, "How you doing?" And he usually says to me, "Oh, I'm about a C-," which he's been saying ever since I've known him. Well, now it's sometimes I'm a C.
Life has no guarantees, but Toni Tennille feels she has a lot more left. Instead of being held back, she's now ready for new opportunities and exciting adventures.
You might as well just go forward.
And where's forward?
We'll see.
Wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing more of Toni back in the entertainment world. She wrote a book, Toni Tennille, a memoir, where she explains her relationship in greater detail and shares advice for anyone who feels trapped in a toxic relationship. But her overall message is, it's never too late.
More inspirational advice and information is available on our website, growingbolder.com/TV.
The fastest growing group of participants in all of organized sports is 50 plus, and you name it: tennis, golf, swimming, track and field, rowing, triathlon. Older men and women, from beginners to former Olympians, are coming together in the name of fitness and in friendship.
Probably even your sport of ice hockey as well. It's happening everywhere. I compete as often as I can in masters swimming events and come away inspired by and excited to share the remarkable and amazingly diverse stories of those who compete, some of whom have overcome incredible challenges just to dive into the pool. Like Diane Eustel, who proves her doctors wrong every time she competes. Diane was rear-ended at a stoplight by a car that was going 65 miles an hour, and doctors said she'd never walk again. She'd been a swimmer 17 years earlier and figured the water was the place to rehabilitate. One stroke at a time, she battled back and not only walked again, she's now 71 and the holder of more than a dozen world age group swimming records. Susan Helmrich has survived 3 very serious cancers that have taken her entire reproductive system, one of her lungs, her gallbladder, her duodenum, half her pancreas, and more. Today she competes worldwide and is one of the top fundraisers for Swim Across America, personally raising more than $3 million for cancer research.
And then there's the incredible story of Roderick Sewell, born without tibias. He had to have both of his legs removed. He couldn't afford prosthetics because his mom didn't have insurance. In fact, they ended up homeless. How do you overcome a start like that? Well, Roderick did. He joined a group called the Challenged Athletes Foundation. They encouraged him to swim, and that changed his life and gave him the opportunity to travel the country and compete for national championships. And that brings us to the story of John Sievers. A birth defect in both legs led to a series of surgeries where doctors performed a procedure that turned his feet around backwards.
Yeah, the idea was eventually to turn his ankle joint into a knee joint and then equip him with prosthetic legs. Well, John tried those legs, but he didn't like them, and he's never looked back.
It's the U.S. Masters National Swimming Championships, and John Sievers has come to try to set a national para-swimming record.
I choose to race individuals that are extremely faster than me in the able-bodied community and represent para-swimming here at Masters.
John was born with birth defects in both legs.
It's bilateral dysfunction of the right and left femurs. I was born with frontwards feet. There was a series of surgeries that led up to the double rotation that you see now.
Take your part.
The idea was to turn the ankle joint into a knee joint, eventually making the use of prosthetics far more effective. John tried what he calls Forrest Gump prosthetics decades ago, but stopped using them, missing out on the amazing technological evolution of modern prosthetics.
The original plan was for me to be wearing artificial legs to date. And I haven't worn any artificial legs in 30 years. I don't know any different. You know, it could have been good, it could have been bad. I'm here, I'm cool, I'm swimming, and I'm not really looking back on anything like that too much.
After high school, John took a 21-year hiatus from swimming and, by his own admission, struggled to find his way forward. So he returned to swimming and rediscovered both passion and purpose.
Masters is the best swimming environment that the United States has to offer, with the exception of Olympic trials, which only comes once every 4 years.
Take your mark.
I'm a 6-time American record holder in short course meters, and last year I was tackling American records.
That's a good swim.
Oh, well, thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
I think he inspires everybody that he touches, and the most inspiring thing is his attitude, and he has a can-do attitude, and it affects everybody in a positive way, and we all thrive on it, and we all feed off of it.
One thing John never tells others, because he doesn't like hearing it himself, is just hang in there.
I don't want to get cliche like, you know, you just got to hang in there, and, you know, I have no intentions of hanging in there, and I have no intentions of surviving. I have intentions of just waking up and going about my day and being the best person I can be in the body that was given to me. And I'm just learning that right now at 41 years old.
And if he ever does start feeling sorry for himself, he thinks of a friend and teammate whose husband has ALS.
When I see stuff like that, I'll take 5 pairs of backwards feet. You know what I mean? I'm not that bad, my situation. I'm really not.
And as he's learned very quickly, Master Swimming does a great job of letting you know the decades ahead can be pretty amazing.
You have 95-year-olds breaking world records. It's insane. And that pushes me.
In a sport filled with inspiration, John Sievers stands out simply by standing on his own 2 feet.
You know, just remarkable. John and Roderick and Susan and Diane and so many more are the reason that I love to go to these swimming meets and the reason that I take a video camera with me. In fact, you were there with me in Arizona when we shot 8 stories, and truthfully, we could have shot at least 8 more.
Everywhere you look in the pool, it's a story, but it's not just swimming. There's stories like this in every sport, which really become intergenerational communities of support and of inspiration. And Mark, the thing I loved especially about swimming, it's not about being good. You don't have to be young. You don't even have to be fit. Find a physical activity that you enjoy and get involved. On June 6, 1944, John Ron landed on Omaha Beach as part of the D-Day invasion. It was the turning point of World War II, but what a price they paid. More than 9,000 were killed or injured on that first day alone. It was an unforgettable experience. But then again, he's someone who's had many incredible experiences in a life well lived.
Even as a little boy, John Ron's life was different than most. Some would say he was destined for greatness. After all, as the son of a career officer, he was practically born into the military, and the friends of his youth had some very important names.
Johnny Eisenhower was a playmate of mine. I didn't meet Georgie Patton until he was a plebe at West Point and I was an upperclassman. Eisenhower, Patton, Mark Clark, were all plebes in my company when I was an upperclassman.
Yes, Ron went to West Point, where he excelled. He felt at home in a military environment, surrounded by intimidating figures who to him were old friends.
I was never afraid of general officers because I knew many of them when they were lieutenants. Played golf with them, played tennis with them when I was growing up as a teenager, so I had no fear of those who were superior in rank.
Quite the contrary. In fact, they were able to look out for John and make sure he stayed on the right track.
So it was very, very useful growing up in the Army and having a whole group of people who were interested in my success who were quite superior in rank.
But on June 6, 1944, D-Day, there was nothing any of them could do to help.
The situation on Omaha Beach was unbelievable.
You really never expected to come back?
I don't think any of us did. We were going to try, but I don't think we expected to. We hoped we would. We hoped we would be among those that came back, but I don't think any of us expected to.
Many did not. But the ones who did, Ron says, owe their lives to the unlikely heroes who, in the middle of chaos, took command.
Many of the leaders that actually succeeded in Normandy were junior enlisted men. They weren't even non-commissioned officers. But what they saw was that terrible situation. They wanted to live. They said, hey guys, come on, follow me. We're going up this hill. And they went up the hill, and that's what won.
For his actions that day, he received the Combat Infantryman Badge and the Silver Star. It was just the beginning of a 35-year career. He would also serve in the Korean War and spent 11 months in Vietnam. In addition to his many combat awards and decorations, Major General Ron also received the Distinguished Service Medal, the Legion of Merit, the Army Commendation Medal, and the Bronze Star.
Yeah, I've had an amazing life, and I've had an amazing number of very, very close calls.
How often do you think back to those days?
As little as I can.
Yet here he is at the age of 93, physically strong and mentally sharp, constantly receiving invitations to speak and captivating audiences when he does. He is sought out by historians and news organizations all over the world. With his memories intact, he feels it's his duty to help.
I've assisted 24 at least authors in writing books about D-Day that when they ask me a question, it's like a light going on. I remember that.
Ron says he would prefer not having to constantly relive that moment in history, but understands that there are not many left who can. He thinks maybe that's why he's still here. Maybe this is his legacy, to give his first-hand accounts as long as he can.
And here you are in your 90s, still relevant, still sharp, and still with no fear.
Not even of historians and authors.
The most intimidating foe you've come up against.
That's absolutely right.
Well, the bottom line is we hope that you've been inspired to start and keep growing bolder by the stories that you've seen today.
We want to leave you now with one more takeaway, and it falls under a couple of the Growing Bolder mantras. Move forward, give back, and never stop making the rest of your life the best of your life. We'll see you next time.
I'm Cecily Wilson for Growing Bolder. In the heyday of TV westerns, it was easy to tell the good guys from the bad guys. The good guys always wore white hats. The Lone Ranger, Roy Rogers, Gene Autry all wore white hats. Unfortunately, it's not so easy to tell the good guys from the bad guys in the real world. There are many individuals and businesses who are comfortable pushing the boundaries of right and wrong and believe it's nothing more than an aggressive business practice. Well, we're not that group at Growing Bolder. We strive to wear the white hat every day, and we encourage you to do the same. Do all you can to help others succeed. Put their interest above your own whenever possible and see what happens. Go ahead. Wear the white hat. I'm Cecily Wilson.
We're incredible at group writing. Otherwise, I would have stopped at the end and gone, what?
Became her reality. Better? Thank you.
And then no. A20. So one more.
Easy flash.
More information about all of the stories you've seen here today is available at growingbolder.com/TV. And you can get inspired to keep rebranding aging when you connect with the Growing Bolder community on Facebook. Growing Bolder is available on DVD for $19.99 plus shipping and handling. A companion book, Growing Bolder, Rebranding Aging by Mark Middleton, is available as well for $29.99 plus shipping and handling. And you can subscribe to Growing Bolder magazine for $19.99. Order online at growingbolder.com/TV.